Right now, though, it's time to move on to our final speaker before we go to our keynote speech today. And our final speaker is Olly Craughan from DPD themselves. He is also head of CSR at the company. Over to you, Olly.
Thank you, Rachel. Hello, everyone. All of our speakers have explained how air quality affects us all. And that's why at DPD we take this really seriously and have our industry-leading green strategy to reduce our emissions. As part of that strategy, next slide please, we launched Project Breathe last summer in August in central London. We fixed 100 mobile sensors to our vehicles operating in central locations in the city and 20 fixed locations using our pickup shop network. And the pickup shops, we tried to fix those sensors that were placed closer to schools and play areas, because as we've heard throughout today, the effects on children are even higher than adults. So we thought it was important to position those sensors there. These sensors take a reading every 12 seconds and feed back to our data dashboard. And they're at street level, so they're measuring the air we are breathing whilst we're walking down the street. They're not up high, they're not placed near pollution areas like tailpipes, they're on the roof of the van. Very easy to fit, and no larger than really a broadband router that you would have at home. So very discreet and a great tool to measure the air. Next slide, please. And what we've done is we've scheduled to expand our Project Breathe, our air monitoring program, to 5 other cities. Next slide, please. Those cities will go live in the coming month once we can install those sensors. And once that is completed, we will have a network of over 400 sensors throughout the UK, measuring 2.5 PM data every 12 seconds and feeding back to the dashboard. That means that approximately 1.5 million readings a day that we're providing access to local authorities, government agencies, and academic institutions like Francis Pope, to be able to analyze that data and look at the hotspots and again base decisions on proper scientific data that can really have a positive impact to the people that live in these towns and cities. Next slide, please. And this is a copy of what you would see. The dashboard itself, powered by PolluteTrack, the manufacturers of the sensors, they provide detail where you can drill down. The academic institutions, the local government can look at specific times, rush hour traffic, you know, the hotspots that creates in certain areas of those towns and cities. And we're going to go a step further. We're going to open up on our notification, our delivery notification, this process and this screen where the consumer themselves can look at the air quality in their city on that day, and it will gauge it using the WHO guidelines. So again, it's not just the powerful data that could be used for our government, local governments, and academic institutions to help them make decisions and create studies on the impact of poor air quality. But our consumers can actually see, raising awareness of how it affects and impacts each individual. Next slide, please. Our green strategy, it all encompasses improving air quality. And we're working extremely hard to decarbonise our fleet throughout the UK. Our Vision 25-25-25 is going to deliver 25% of our entire volume by the end of 2025 on an all-electric fleet, zero emissions in these urban areas. And that covers approximately 25% of the entire UK population, providing cleaner cities across the UK, and also quieter because electric vehicles have that element to them too. Next slide, please. And with the green strategy, the 25-25-25, will increase our deliveries enormously. You can see here, 2019, we delivered 1.3 million parcels on our electric fleet. And our electric fleet at the time was about 149 vehicles. We fast forward to 2020, a challenging year, obviously, with the pandemic. We actually increased our electric fleet throughout the UK to over 700 vehicles and delivered, as a result, 11.2 million parcels on our all-electric fleet, zero emissions. And what we're aiming to do, as I've said, by the end of 2025, deliver over 100 million parcels, all electric, in our across the UK, zero emissions, creating better environment for people, consumers and the public to live and breathe. Next slide, please. And it just doesn't stop there. We already power all of our sites from a renewable source of electricity. But recently we have opened Hub 5 and we've started the installation of over 7,000 solar panels. And that will create enough energy to deliver nearly 4 million parcels, all electric, zero emissions, powered by a renewable source. And you can see that we're really making some progress with decarbonising our operation. Next slide, please. And last year we launched our website. It shows our green journey and is updated regularly. Please visit it. It has more information on there. It keeps you up to date and shows exactly everything we're doing in the green space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olly. Do you have, Olly, one of the sensors with you to hand? Can you show us?
Sadly, Rachel, it didn't arrive from France in time.
No.
I do apologise. We did discuss that on a call, but sadly it's not. But if you imagine your home broadband router,
yeah,
you know, it's that size, they're discreet, they're not causing a problem, they're not monstrosity, they're easy to fit to these vehicles, and they just need an electrical feed to power them. And that is it, you know, so very simple, straightforward. And like Francis said, putting these on vehicles provides a wider scope of data, you know, across these cities instead of fixed locations, which have their limitations, obviously.
Well, perhaps it's a new family game for a car journey, spot the sensor. It does seem like in many ways, businesses are moving at a greater pace than government policy on all of this. And there's a good question from Nikos on this, who says, would you say that logistics companies are more influential than governments in gathering air quality data for the public to see?
I've not heard of another logistics business monitoring air quality like DPD UK and DPD Group in Europe. I think there's more space for private and public sectors to work together to enhance and increase the amount of data that could be fed back and used positively, definitely.
Yeah, and the other question that a couple of people have brought up this morning actually is about emissions from tyres, which anyone in any discussion about electric vehicles will know about. And the question is, given that some people think they can be as polluting, or certainly that requires monitoring as much as other emissions, what plans do you have to tackle that? Do you have a way of monitoring that?
Well, actually, I believe there was a DEFRA report in 2019 stating that PM 2.5 particles are more coming off tyres than actually at tailpipes. I may be wrong there, but that's what I've read. And we're actually working part of Transport for London Freight Lab. We're working with them and a company called Enso on a tyre that reduces the amount of particle matter coming off it. So we are looking at other ways of minimising our impact in the environment, definitely.
Yeah, and look, I'm sure that's something that Francis and Oliver Lord will be able to pick up on as well during our panel discussion. And a reminder, if you want to submit questions for that discussion coming up in a few minutes' time, where we'll take on some of these issues, then please do via the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Olly, congratulations on Project Breathe, says this one here. Excellent innovation. How important do DPD feel vehicle manufacturers are playing their part, driving down the cost of EVs to deliver price parity with their diesel equivalents? And, you know, for any sort of run-of-the-mill discussion about EVs, again, it's something we discuss on the BBC the whole time. That is what people bring up time and again: cost.
It's a huge investment, Rachel. You know, I can't deny that at all. It's massive. Typically, to go out and buy an electric vehicle, especially the larger ones, you're talking about potentially a £20,000 difference to an ICE equivalent, a diesel equivalent. So, you know, smaller businesses, your, you know, plumber, electrician, builder working in central London or other cities are probably not going to move forward to electric unless they're, you know, reduced in cost or there are more government grants. But we need to do more to reduce the cost, increase the availability. I think putting targets on imports of vehicles, you know, a certain percentage of those need to be electric, you know, from our manufacturers abroad and in the UK, and that needs to be ramped up each year to 2030 when we ban the sale of new diesel and petrol vehicles.